Have you ever had that feeling of déjà vu, that unsettling sense that you've lived this exact moment before? For Kaito, this wasn't just a feeling, it was his reality. A reality that was meticulously, horrifyingly designed just for him. His day started like any other, with sunlight filtering into his kitchen. He was making breakfast when he saw it, a dark, crimson stain spreading across his hands. He blinked, and just like that, it was gone. His hands were clean. The world around him seemed to sigh in relief, as if it had just corrected a glitch in its programming. This world was gentle, always shielding him from anything unpleasant, anything that might hurt him. But this gentleness was beginning to feel like a cage. Later that day, in the school hallway, his friend Jun greeted him with a wide, forced smile. "Hey, Kaito, slept well?" The words were friendly, but Jun's eyes held a deep, unbearable pity. It was the same look he saw in everyone's eyes, a shared secret sorrow that he was never allowed to understand. As he stood there, the world began to stutter. The chatter of students, the distant chime of the school bell, it all started to loop. A girl dropped her books, they hit the floor, and then she was upright again, books in hand, only to drop them once more. Time was folding in on itself, repeating, resetting. Kaito was trapped in a moment that refused to move forward. He ran, desperate to escape the loop, and found himself in an empty classroom. The air was thick, with the scent of old wood and chalk dust. He looked into the large mirror on the wall, and for a split second, before the world could correct itself again, he saw words scrawled across the glass in what looked like ash. "Don't let him remember." The message vanished as quickly as it appeared, but the words were burned into his mind. Remember what? The question echoed in the sudden, deafening silence. That night, sleep offered no escape. Instead, it dragged him into a nightmare of impossible scale. He was standing in a colossal, cavernous space, filled with a low, mechanical hum. Before him stretched a vast machine, a web of glowing wires and shimmering energy fields, and within this machine, suspended in time, were thousands upon thousands of people. Men, women, children, all frozen in the exact moment of their death. Their faces were masks of terror, of pain, of shock. It was a gallery of last breaths, a museum of final heartbeats. He watched, horrified, as the machine pulsed, and for a fleeting instant, every single person in that macabre display turned their head to look directly at him. A voice, soft and raspy, pulled him from the sight. A young girl stood beside him. Her skin was a patchwork of terrible burns, her clothes little more than charred rags. She looked at him not with pity, but with a profound, ancient sadness. "We built this for you, Kaito," she whispered, her voice like sandpaper. "This pause, this endless day." She explained everything. The fire. A terrible accident he had caused. A moment of carelessness that had consumed their entire town. The guilt, she said, was too much for him to bear. It would have shattered his mind completely. So, they did the only thing they could. "We couldn't let you break," she said, her burned hand gesturing towards the frozen masses. "So we chose to suffer instead. We held back the fire, held back death itself, just for you." The truth hit Kaito with the force of a physical blow. This wasn't a gentle world, it was a prison built from their collective agony. Their mercy was their eternal torture. Every smile he received was a mask for a scream. Every reset of the world was another turn of the screw, holding them in their final, terrifying moments. They were protecting him, yes, but at the cost of their own peace, their own rest. They were ghosts, trapped in a machine of his making. He looked from the girl's ravaged face to the endless sea of the frozen dead. He saw Jun, his friend, forever trapped in a hallway. He saw the girl who dropped her books, reliving that simple moment for eternity. He saw his family, his neighbors, everyone he had ever known, suspended in their final, agonizing seconds. Their sacrifice was a weight far heavier than any guilt. He knew what he had to do. It was the only choice that mattered. He walked towards the heart of the machine, a pulsating core of light that held their world together. The burned girl watched him, a single tear tracing a clean path through the soot on her cheek. It wasn't a tear of sadness, but of release. With a final, trembling breath, Kaito reached out and placed his hand on the core. He didn't pull a lever or press a button. He simply willed it to stop. He chose to remember. The hum ceased. The light died. The world stopped resetting. In an instant, the gentle sunlight of his kitchen was replaced by a grey, desolate dawn. The smell of breakfast was gone, replaced by the choking stench of cold ash and decay. He was no longer in his home, but standing in a field of rubble and ruin. Around him, as far as the eye could see, were graves. Thousands of simple, hastily made mounds of earth. He was alone. The silence was absolute. The loops were gone. The pitying eyes were gone. Everyone was gone. He was finally free from the gentle lie. But his freedom was the horrifying, unfiltered truth of what he had done. The weight of it all crashed down on him, a grief so immense it threatened to swallow him whole. Yet in the crushing silence, there was also a new, fragile kind of peace. The machine was off. The dead were finally allowed to rest. And for the first time, Kaito could truly begin to mourn. He faced the ash, he faced the graves, and he began to face himself. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content that explores the deeper, darker corners of storytelling. Stay thoughtful, and we'll see you in the next one.